Am I the asshole here for refusing to apologize for my disgust with my BF's family's behavior? I am 27F. My family is middle class, not overly poor, definitely not rich, but we were comfortable. My boyfriend 30M grew up middle class as well, but his grandparents have money. Not insane money, but definitely well over what I would describe as middle class. His family pretty much makes a competition of who has what, and honestly it weirds me out. They all have nice things, but they throw an absolute hissy fit if one gets something and another doesn't. Like one of his aunts got money for a kitchen remodel from his grandpa, and it has been the only thing his family has talked about in weeks. If you go to the grandparents' house and seem overly nice, they accuse you of trying to manipulate the will as well. This happened to me and I was just absolutely baffled over it. I'm a nurse, we were talking about healthcare. I do not understand why they thought I was trying to get in the will. Where I grew up, asking at all about money or someone's will or your standing in said will is so incredibly taboo. It makes it look as if you are wanting their money and not them. If you get something in someone's will, it is an occasion to be thankful that you meant something to them. Like a token of love, not like something that is owed to you. They have asked me on multiple occasions about my own salary and savings, and I do not believe that is something that should be talked about. Again, extremely taboo. It isn't something that we do. In my family, if you look in someone else's cup, it's supposed to be to make sure they have enough. I have enough, the rest isn't their business. My BF and I are talking about our future and planning to get married. However, I have a huge hesitation around the way his family behaves. It makes me very uncomfortable. I went to my BF's family gathering and they were all talking about who will get what if the grandparents passed, and basically had a huge fight over it, and I made a face apparently and left early because I just didn't feel like wasting a perfectly good Saturday on that drama. My BF is now upset and saying that his family is upset that I looked disgusted and left abruptly. I told him his family is shameful and no, I wouldn't apologize over it. I do not even want to be associated with them at this point. The grandparents are still very much alive and they are fighting over what they might get. That's wild to me. I really do love my BF, but his family I do not like at all. Not the asshole. I am curious how the grandparents feel, especially with the family acting like they're already dead. Keep in mind if this is truly the family you'd want to marry into. I sure as heck wouldn't. It is definitely making me hesitant. My BF is so sweet and we've been talking about the next steps, how we want our future to look. We've even talked about possible children, but I honestly cannot get over how his family behaves. The fact he thinks you need to apologize to his vulture family has me side-eyeing the shit out of him. They're a prime example of how money doesn't buy class, as they have none. Am I the asshole here for waking up the whole family downstairs at 2 a.m. because they thought they could park and block my driveway overnight? I live in a duplex in NYC. We rent the downstairs. We're chill and don't mind their friends throwing parties or staying over as long as they respect the property and keep the noise down at night. But a couple of months ago, one of their guys blocked the driveway around 7 p.m. I asked him nicely to move it and not do it again, but he clearly didn't care. Fast forward to a few days ago, I get dropped off at 2 a.m. and see his car completely blocking my driveway again, even going over a bit onto the neighbor's side. I stood outside for 5 minutes debating whether to just have him ticketed and towed or wake up the whole house. I chose option 2 and blasted the doorbell for 10 seconds, this part because they do have a kid who goes to school the next day. They answered and I told her the car was blocking me and I needed to leave. It took the guy 5 minutes to come out and he was visibly pissed. He was like, "You really have to wake everyone up for that?" And I told him that he's blocking me in and I need to leave and do it again, he'll have it towed. He said he'll have to go pay for it and I told him to fucking watch me. He kept cursing at me, so I said back and repeated, "That's why you're listening and moving your car, right? Yeah, keep it moving, buddy." The guy's 40 plus and I'm in college. He moved it and I just walked back upstairs and watched the security cams. I knew he was pissed when he looked at the driveway and both cars were still there. Am I the asshole? Edit, added more details. It's illegal to park across a driveway here. How else would you get them to move? It's lucky it was them. I'd be pissed being woken up, but it would be worse waking and finding my car gone. Not the asshole. I'm from Houston, I'd be worried about my car getting towed, leaving my car in a place like that for half an hour, and we don't even have parking issues compared to a lot of places. Tow truck drivers really love to see illegal parking. Just to clarify, this was a driveway leading to a small, but commonly shared, parking lot? Pretty sure you could have gotten him towed, no questions asked. You did him a favor if you ask me. Howdy from up the road in Dallas. I thought we had problems with predatory towing until I went to Houston. Y'all's tow trucks suddenly show up at sundown like June bugs. It's crazy. My ex-girlfriend has taken a new job 100 miles from home and is planning on commuting. Am I the asshole here for not changing my work arrangements to suit her? So basically, my ex-girlfriend and I separated 7 years ago. We have a daughter together while I have 2 daughters from a previous relationship. We have both moved on with our lives. I'm due to marry in 18 months and she got engaged last Christmas, and we have shared custody of our daughter 50:50. On the days I have my daughter, I have to collect and leave her to school and she would organize the other days, which means I have to leave work early on days and arrive late on days. Thankfully my employer has been very understanding and has accommodated my situation as long as hours are made up, which would involve me being available on weekends for emergencies. Not an ideal situation, but it works. Anyways, the ex has taken up a job 100 miles away and her plan is to commute daily. I have my opinions on that, but not my monkey, not my circus. She had arranged for her dad to collect daughter on her days, and what seems like a noble idea and a great solution, reality has set in and he finds his days are restricted either collecting daughter or leaving to school, and the novelty has passed and has pretty much told her that he won't be as available as he promised. Now this leaves her pretty much up shit creek as she has noon else to call upon to collect and leave to school. She has asked me to work from home 3 to 4 days per week, which would allow her to continue her role 100 miles away and ensure daughter is collected on time each day. This isn't an option for me, and in telling her that I can't accept these changes, she's accusing me of clinging to the past, being bitter about the breakup and doing my best to sabotage and stifle her career. Am I the asshole here? None of this is a you problem. It is moronic to drive 200 miles a day, also, FFS. NTA. Even the IRS allows you to charge off $0. $725 per mile for uncompensated auto use for business purposes. This does not account for the 35% increase in gasoline price so far this year. Mom is easily spending $125 a day commuting. That's not counting 4 to 5 hours of unpaid personal time being given away to her employment. I gather math wasn't mom's best subject in high school. Am I the asshole here for telling a roommate that he is a guest in my home? My boyfriend recently moved into my 2-bedroom apartment. Our original plan was to sleep in 1 bedroom and have him put his clothes and belongings in the guest bedroom because it has a bigger closet. However, one of his friends recently fell on hard times and asked to stay with us for about a month while he finds a new place. Although I do not know this friend very well, he is good friends with my boyfriend. I have met him a few times and he seems chill, so I agreed to let him stay. My boyfriend and I split the rent equally, but the utilities, renter's insurance, and internet are all in my name. The friend currently pays nothing except for his own food. The main problem is that this friend has a significant amount of stuff, so much so that I actually had to rent a U-Haul to help him move in. I'm not used to having this much clutter. Even before my BF or his friend moved in, I would try to regularly go through my own stuff and get rid of things I'm not actively using. Obviously, I can't do that with someone else's belongings, so I asked him to keep most of his things in his room. Unfortunately, the problem extends into the kitchen as well. Because he gets a lot of food from community kitchens, our cabinets are full to the brim with his cans and non-perishables, and the fridge and freezer are completely packed with his food. I understand that he may have been in situations in the past where he lacked access to food and now feels the need to hoard it, but it's frustrating that his stuff is taking up so much space. To cope, I try to keep the food put away and somewhat organized, but he frequently leaves items out on the counter and places things in ways that take up unnecessary room. When I ask him about it, he gets defensive. The other day, he confronted me and asked, "Why do you get to keep your stuff out, but I have to put mine away?" Mind you, the items I leave out actually belong on the kitchen counters, such as my cutting boards and stand mixer. The items he leaves out are groceries like peanut butter, jelly, mayonnaise, and bread, which are things that I normally put away in a cabinet or the fridge. In addition to that, he recently said that he did not feel at home and felt like I wanted him out. This is where I may have been the asshole. I lost my temper on him and told him, "This isn't your home. You are a guest in my home, and the least you could do is put your things away." He got upset and complained to my boyfriend, who is now trying to avoid taking sides to keep the peace. To his credit, my boyfriend agrees with me that his friend is taking up a lot of space and that the apartment is starting to feel cramped with 3 people. However, he also feels that what I said was unnecessarily harsh, and he told me that I shouldn't start conflicts like that with someone who is most likely going to be living with us for a while longer. Am I the asshole here? Edit, some more information. This person is only staying with us because their lease ended at their previous apartment, and I guess the alternative was living with his abusive sister. I realize now that he should have made arrangements to live elsewhere well before his lease was up. I have no idea how long him and my boyfriend were talking about it before he pitched the idea to me. In the state I live in, I cannot legally kick this person out if they show proof of occupancy, which means they have a designated place to sleep, they have all of their clothes and belongings here, etc. The most I can do is hand him a 30-day notice to quit, which I will be doing tomorrow, June 15th, which marks 1 month since he moved in, and will give him until July 31st to move out. And if he still doesn't leave by that time, I can then file an eviction lawsuit. Thank you all for your opinions and advice. I think I'm too trusting sometimes, and this whole situation has taught me not to fall for just any old sob story. But I will say, my BF did it out of kindness. He is just a bit impulsive and maybe a bit naive. I will be having a serious conversation with him soon. I'm looking forward to it being just the 2 of us. Edit 2, I have decided to serve the notice immediately instead of waiting until the end of the month. Not the asshole, and frankly, the friend needs to go. My experience, people who take up physical space like this have a tendency to take up a lot of space in other ways as well. They're the type who always have some crisis happening and are always the victims. Airbnb glamping tent host did not disclose we would be staying on a farm. The tent we are staying in is maybe 20 feet from a chicken coop, and 4 roosters have been crowing since 3:45 a.m. The bathrooms listed on her Airbnb page you have to drive to. Am I the asshole here for asking for a refund? I am staying in what was advertised as a glamping tent on Airbnb. Drove to a hike and it took longer than expected and just needed to crash. I found this cute little Airbnb and was delighted. Despite her being a fairly new host, I was excited to give her business and help her launch her little place. What she did not disclose, and I think she definitely should have, was this. 1. The bathrooms are not within what I would say is walking distance. It's about a 10-minute walk to them. She herself recommended driving to them, but they were included as if they were right next to the tents. 2. The 5 tents are inside of a greenhouse. They basically touch each other, and what I thought was an open camping space is most definitely not. I could hear my neighbors snoring. 3. She did not disclose that this Airbnb was on a farm. I can sleep through little duck quacks. That's fine. I love a farm. However, there are, at least, 4 roosters within 20 feet of this tent that have been crowing since 3:45 a.m. incessantly. Anyway, I had wanted to help her, but I really find this whole experience regrettable and I would never recommend anyone stay here. I'd like to ask for a refund. Am I the asshole here? Not the asshole. Take pictures, lots of pictures describing the actual location. This isn't glamping. It's farmping. Be honest with her and any reviews you leave, because no one would consider sleeping in a greenhouse glamorous at all. Not the asshole. That's completely ridiculous. If you truly had no idea, you absolutely deserve your money back. Am I the asshole here for being petty with my parents about my house? So I, 20M, have been living in a 1-bedroom 1-bath house on my parents' property for a year and a half now with cheap rent. The original deal was for me to stay until I was ready to move out, or until me and my girlfriend marry. About half a year ago, they changed up that and said at the end of the summer I'd have to get my own apartment so my sister, 17F, could move in. This was not the original plan, so I had basically renovated the entire house to make it as comfortable as possible for me. Everything except for the oven, dryer, and washing machine was either bought by me or someone gifted it to me. Because all of this stuff is mine, I recently began to start moving things out gradually. Bookshelf, bed, one of the AC units, my trophy stands, etc. All I have left in this house is my TV, work desk, which will be moved next week, my couch, fridge, and microwave. Yesterday, my parents entered my house while I was at work, without asking or anything. And then waited until I got home and argued with me about taking all the stuff out the house. I argued with them as they said I couldn't take all this stuff because then my sister would have nothing for when she moves in. I told them that since I either paid for everything or had the items gifted to me, that they were mine to do with what I please. They called me an asshole because now my sister has nothing for the house and will have to buy everything while she makes barely any money. I told them that that was not my problem but was theirs since they decided to change everything up at last second, screwing me over especially while I also struggled with money because I had truck payments and bills. They continued to call me names and say I was being petty and an asshole for those before leaving. However, I don't think I'm an asshole for taking my stuff with me. For context, they're normally really amazing parents, but the whole ordeal with the house was the worst I've ever seen them. So am I the asshole here? Not the asshole for keeping your own property. Exactly what were Op's parents thinking? Op would buy it or people will just magically gift it to Op. It only makes sense to take all the stuff when moving out. Yeah, I don't understand the parents' side at all. People take their stuff when they move. That's just how life works. Am I the asshole here for asking my cousin for her medical degree? I, 29F, and my cousin, 30F, has 3 kids, 10, 9, and 4. She has not vaccinated any of them. Now let me preface this by saying this, I don't care what you do with your child. If you vaccinate, don't vaccinate, etc. It's your child and your choice. However, my cousin will go to great lengths to tell anyone who disagrees with her stance on vaccines to educate themselves or do your research. This absolutely drives me up the wall. Because the research is based on Google searches. Not peer-reviewed journals, not pediatricians' advice. Just simple, should I vaccinate my child? Well, one day we had a discussion about me having children one day. She already tried to say, well, don't vaccinate your kids. It's bad for their health. I said I would follow whatever my OB or my future children's pediatrician. Then she said, well, I highly recommend you educate yourself and do your research before you do so. Well, I straight up asked her, will show me your degree. Not your Google searches. Not your Facebook mom groups that agree with everything. I want to see your degree where you're qualified to tell me what I should and shouldn't do with my baby. You can do whatever you want with your kids. But don't you dare tell me how I should raise my future children. She got mad and left. Our families are divided. Some say that I was right. Some says, you should have just heard her out. I feel bad for upsetting her. But I'm not going to let someone say I'm uneducated when all they do is research BS on Google and Facebook mom groups and just run with it. So am I the asshole? Edit, I did not expect this to blow up the way it did. Wow. Thank you for all the comments. I wanted to clarify some things. Yes, I absolutely care about vaccines. I plan to vaccinate my future children. Where I was saying, I don't care, was parents are gonna do what they are gonna do besides listening to a doctor's advice. Also, I can't help but laugh at some people who are saying this post is AI. I swear someone could fart and y'all would claim it is AI. My cousin is still not talking to me, but she keeps sending me Facebook posts and TikToks about how bad vaccines are. No actual research. I blocked her. Thank you again to everyone who commented. I am old, but not that old, but I remember older folks thinking Salk was a god of science for ending polio, and measles and mumps were eradicated in the US for a long period because of most parents listening to their doctors and getting their kids vaccinated. Now, preventable childhood diseases have snuck back into the population, not only putting unvaccinated kids at risk, but the kids that could not be vaccinated are at risk because as a country, we've fallen below the level of herd immunity that used to protect the small minority of kids with cancer or autoimmune disorders. The paper that started all the hysteria has been proven false, and the authors were banned from practicing medicine and their article was retracted from publication, something that rarely happens in peer-reviewed journals. Not the asshole for holding on to common sense and reason against hysteria and pseudoscience. More people should. Maybe the weak will rethink their stance if enough folks push back. My grandparents were strict SDA who basically lived in a commune in the middle of rural AL woods. They rarely went to doctors and preferred all natural herbal remedies to medicine if possible. They had a medicinal herb garden in with the vegetable one. When the polio vaccine came out, my grandfather still lined his kids up to get it. He lost siblings to polio. Stopping polio from taking his kids was far more important than his scriptures and echinacea will fix it lifestyle. He disagreed with doctors on many things, but never vaccines. People today don't remember polio, truly remember it. We eradicated the bad things and people have forgotten what it was to live amongst polio and measles outbreak. And if things keep going as they are, we will all get to experience it as the previous generations did. And this anti-vaccination trend will stop, until we forget again at least. Am I the asshole here? Walmart messed up scanning my items and I didn't correct them. Last week I went to Walmart and bought a significant amount of groceries. I went through the self-checkout and after scanning my total was $278. After scanning, the machine would not accept my card. A worker came over and tried printing off a receipt and couldn't get that to work either. She scanned a barcode and took it to another self-checkout and the same issue occurred, card machine wouldn't work. She then printed out another receipt and took me to a person to check out. The person she had given the receipt, lost the receipt somehow, and decided she would rescan all my items. Since I had already scanned my items myself going through the self-checkout, they were already in bags. At this point, what should have been a quick 5-minute transaction has turned into a 45-minute ordeal. I told the lady at the register that I would take all my groceries out of bags to help, and to speed up the process. She, pretty rudely, declined my help. Instead she just haphazardly started grabbing things and throwing them around. After she was finished scanning, the total came out to $183. Almost $100 less than when I had scanned the items myself. I asked the woman if she was sure had scanned everything and she, in a very annoyed tone, said yes she was sure. Am I the asshole for not correcting the checkout lady and leaving the store knowing the total was significantly less than what it should have been? You did your best. Walmart doesn't deserve any more effort on your part, and I say that as an employee. Walmart is the literal welfare queen boogeyman. They pay poverty wages and their employees have to get food stamps spent at Walmart, imagine that, and Medicaid and any other social program they can get in order to live. So Walmart is having American taxes supplement their business model. And people keep letting them get by with it. Those who vote for the current status quo keep hearing and believing immigrants/minorities are taking jobs and using social programs and my tax money pays for it. And they're so dumb that they let their bigoted idea of life blind them to reality. Meanwhile, the ultra-fucking rich are lobbying to ensure they can pay poverty wages, get massive tax breaks, and exploit their workers beyond the pale. It drives me nuts how few people actually see what is really going on. You scanned. You were going to pay. They fucked up, nope. Now do a good deed to someone who deserves it, or just be a good human. Someone up yonder thought you could use a little extra help this trip to Wally World. They fucked up, she tried to correct it, and they declined. OP did all they could reasonably be expected to do. Would I be the asshole here to cancel my gender reveal party after my family uninvited my stepmom behind my back? 15W pregnant, expecting dad. Parents divorced since 2008. My parents have engaged with my sister in narcissistic triangulation for a long time. They talk behind my back when they want the result of something to change because they disagree with a decision I've made. My wedding plans, our party, anything they feel will affect them. Now it's my gender reveal party, which was more for them than anyone else. My mom and sister hate my stepmom. I don't know why, but they claim that my stepmom was not accommodating to my sister in 2008 when she started dating my dad. I have no specificities on actual injuries. My mom initiated the divorce, so stepmom wasn't the other woman. Regardless, her unspecified crimes got her banned from my sister's wedding. My dad has now been married to her for 18 years and folds on this insane boundary every single time. I don't know why she stays married to him, but that's not my decision. I have an internal policy of inviting my stepmom and my dad on the same invite, and my mom, sister, and her husband separately. I invited them on 3 invitations, and my stepmom told me she wasn't able to come because my sister and mom complained to my dad and my dad said she was banned from attending. Banned from the house that I own. I'm livid. I feel like I've been complicit in this from the start by not putting my foot down with their insane behavior, and I've been put in an impossible position that I shouldn't be in the first place, much less while I'm planning a fucking party and pregnant. My mom has told me for years that she would get over her weird gripe with stepmom once a baby was born. Well, we're almost here. I don't know if she's lying or not, but I am half tempted to throw the baby out with the bathwater and cancel this party. Would I be the asshole here if I canceled this party, even if it blew up my relationship with my entire biological family? You would not be the asshole. Matter of fact, cancel that party and set up another one with just your dad/stepmom and others you want to be there. Your mom and sister aren't going to change. OP doesn't have to cancel. It's at his house. He just has to uninvite anyone who is pulling this shit. No, he should cancel. He said it was more for them than for him. Since dad is not supporting his wife, there are no deserving parties here except stepmom, and a gender reveal party with only her would be weird. Alternative tactic, we decided to postpone because stepmom couldn't make it and we aren't having the party without everyone there. We'll let you know if we come up with a date that works for everyone. Love this. I've told them before and they well know that I'm uncomfortable having him solo in the house with them as they all mesh together and literally pretend they're a fully intact family, and this is in direct violation of that rule. They can tell me it's weird all they want, but 300 strangers agree with me that it's fucked up to pretend you didn't get divorced. Am I the asshole here for not offering to replace my friend's sunglasses after losing them? Last weekend I went to an event with some friends. At some point during the day, one of my friends apparently slipped her sunglasses into a tote bag I was carrying. However, she never told me she had done this. I had no idea her sunglasses were in my bag. A few days later she messaged me saying she had forgotten them in my bag. I checked everywhere and they're nowhere to be found. I have no idea what happened to them. For context, I'm genuinely terrible at keeping track of belongings. I lose things all the time, my phone, keys, cards, hats, umbrellas, etc. Add alcohol and it's inevitable. At this same event I lost a couple of my own belongings as well. I hate it, and it's something I've struggled with my whole life, but it seems my brain just doesn't want to keep track of things. My friends know this about me. I'm conflicted about whether I should offer to pay for replacements. On one hand, the sunglasses disappeared while they were apparently in a bag I was carrying. On the other hand, I never agreed to be responsible for them. Would I be the asshole if I didn't offer to replace them? You don't even know for a certainty that they ever were in your bag. Not the asshole. If it was crowded, she could have slipped them into a stranger's bag by accident. Or missed the opening completely and they hit the ground before she even moved. Edited because autocorrect LOL.